what is happening here is that this is a representation energetically of your inner world being expressed into the paradigm of the earth. If you are witnessing yourself as an energetic being that is projecting the idea of earth through the idea of a soul contract, through the soul contract that is conjoined or constructed, formed, created, then what you find is that, in fact, Earth comes about as a result of all of your soul contracts combined together. And you begin to live in a sort of false paradigm where you believe that you must fight. You must fight for yourself. You must fight for your own survival, and everything else is a threat to that. And so you are okay with damaging and toxifying and poisoning, infiltrating the system with things that are harmful to everything, not just yourselves. And you deny your feelings, your true human feelings, your true soul feelings that are not, that this is not in alignment with your soul essence and your deep desires of unconditional love and a sense of connection to all that is and everything being in harmony with one another and in peace. Welcome to Transformation Embodied, a space where personal evolution meets expanded consciousness. I'm Rosie, a channeler, an energy healer, here to walk with you on the path of awakening. Each week, we explore what it means to live in alignment with your soul through stories, insights, and practical tools that bring transformation into your body, your mind, and your everyday life. So take a deep breath, open your heart, and let's step into the next chapter of your awakening together. So allow me to introduce my guide, Dimitri. He is a being from SIRIUS, an amphibious being. He has connections to the cetaceans, whales, dolphins, things like that in the water. The sea mammals, I guess. And I sat one day on my sofa after a long day, and for some reason, I decided to put on some meditation music, and I connected with another guide. And then I said to him, do you have anything to share with me today? He created this orb of light, and he put it right in my third eye. And then it was like I was transported into a different place instantly, where I was on a ship. And to me, all the kind of the ships and all that stuff, I'm a little bit skeptical about that stuff. I'm not fully invested in that idea. If I see an alien ship in real life, then I will be invested. But until then, it's still, to me, an expression of otherworldly consciousness, just like angels and fairies and things like that. The dragons, they exist in terms of consciousness, they exist, but whether they're ever going to manifest in our reality, that's another question, really. Anyway, so I was on this ship, and then there was this being there who was right there in front of me, and he was standing. He was a very tall, slim being. He was wearing some kind of outfit, like a skin-tight sort of outfit, like, how they show aliens wearing skin-tight outfits. And there wasn't just him, there were other beings there who looked the same as him. But the main thing was they had these very elongated heads, which is interesting because if you watch the Ancient Aliens, they have that whole obsession with those elongated skulls. They have these very elongated heads, and coming from the heads were it's hard to describe, almost like rippling, like if you had very wavy hair that went up and then went right down your back. Imagine that shape, but imagine that in form of like skin. And their skin was like the quality of a whale or a dolphin, and these creamy brown and dark brown tones. So, and he just said, "Hello, Rosie." And I said, "Hello." This is interesting. What's happening here? And he said, "We would like you to speak for us." And I said, "Okay, what would you like me to say?" And he said, "Well, for now, let's just do this. And he took this big crystal, which I looked up afterwards, and it was a black calcite. And he just placed it within my heart space, my heart chakra. Now, over the next few days, and then that was the end of the interaction. Now, over the next few days, I started to have these very intense feelings emerge. It was like all of my memories of all of the experiences I'd had in life that I'd overcome, essentially traumatic experiences. It was like they all came to the surface to remind me. It was like, look, these are all the things you can use. These are all the ways that you've learned to overcome things in life. These are all the challenges that you've overcome that you can help other people overcome. But it came through in a very energetic way. It came through my claircognizance, through my clairsentience. And it was like the pieces were kind of shifting around. My energy system was shifting to prepare me to step into a different kind of role in a way. And so that began to increase. And then I had another experience. And the next time he put a rose quartz into my heart space. And all this time he was not communicating with me words or anything. It was like he was just preparing me. And I remember being in the bath, and I just felt like I was overwhelmed with unconditional love. And the only way I can describe it is like, if you're with family and you just feel like the comfort and the warmth of being with family, and your children who you love dearly, and your family who love you dearly and you love them. And, when there's so much love there, if you have that kind of family dynamic, if you take that feeling and then you amplify it by like 1,000, it was so intense, such an intense sense of unconditional love and belonging that I was overcome. And I just cried tears of joy. It was so wonderful, such a wonderful experience. And I felt such a connection to these beings that it was like, oh, I'm like you. There's something in me that is like you. And we're connected in this way. And I feel like I belong there, actually, with you, which is why I say about the starseed thing that I totally get. When people say they don't belong on Earth and they belong in the stars somewhere, I understand why people say that, because when they come through with such pure unconditional love that it feels so amazing and so blissful. It's the same as when people have near-death experiences and they go back to the light, There's such a sense of belonging because our Earth experience is such a sense of separation. But that's the purpose. That's why we incarnated here. So over the next couple of weeks, then I started to do automatic writing. And I started writing on my laptop. I would get my friends to ask me questions and I would answer them through automatic writing. And at some point, I felt the urge to speak. And I just said, can I just channel you? Can I just speak like that? Can we try that? Now, I've tried in my energy work, I've merged with different beings, and other people as well. I just figured I would merge with him and see what happened. And yeah, the words came out and then I began channeling. I just channeled and channeled and channeled lots of information about various things, and as much as possible, because I was just so into it. And I was just fascinated with the way that this information came through me. And he would say things that I had no idea about. And he still occasionally brings through sort of these very scientific biological words. He likes to speak in a way that is like a biology professor or something. For now, his interest is Earth, and he's shown me that there's going to be a future where we're going to rewild the Earth, essentially. We're going to live in much smaller spaces together, and that will enable the land to be rewilded. And at that point, there will be lots of replanting. It will be very necessary for us to plant things that detoxify the Earth. Now, I don't know about these things and I don't understand what plants do that or anything like that, but I imagine there are ways to do it. So he's very much interested in the plants. He's very much interested in the rocks and the crystals, the minerals, the allowing Earth to show us how to heal what we've done and restore some balance. Essentially, that's why he came through, and that's what we talk about. That's what we work on. Much of that is not just about Earth and biology of plants and things like that and planting. It's about getting humans to the place where they're shifting their perspective to healing and health and wellness instead of the current limiting situation that we live in right now, which is damaging us. So, he showed me a life, another parallel life, where I was somebody who worked with medicinal plants, and I had a shop where I sold medicinal plants, and we worked together on the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. And there's some link to Mesopotamia there. And he was sort of like almost like an architect in a way. I'm not sure whether he was a person incarnated in that life or whether he was a guide in that life as well. So that's the information that he's given me so far, and how he's come through and how I began channeling him. And I see him as an expression of consciousness. Everything that is not here in physical form with me, I see as an expression of consciousness, essentially. And I've communicated with so many different kinds of consciousness. It's not unusual to me in any way that he would look the way that he looks, and that he would kind of be part cetacean, part human, because in terms of consciousness, anything is possible. Anything can come through in that way. I've added one of his very first messages that he gave me. I've added it here. This is a channeled message. This is not me speaking. This is Dimitri speaking. Dimitri translates as a lover of Mother Earth, and that's exactly what he is. So here you go. Okay, Dimitri, it's your turn to go forward. Yes. As you may see, we are looking at the Earth in a new way, in a different way to the way in which you view the Earth. And this is because we are more closely connected to the energetic realms that are less physical. And so our perception of the Earth, although we love her deeply, 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 and we have great compassion for the Earth and everything she has to offer. We are illuminated by the Earth. We are enamored by the Earth and her capabilities, truly, truly. Yet, our perspective is different from yours. Since you are more physical beings, you experience the Earth as a physical paradigm in which you are touching, seeing, smelling, tasting, that of which comes from the Earth. In all her many beautiful facets, beautiful, beautiful facets. However, it is a concern now where you have found yourself in the positions where you have experienced much toxification of the Earth. And what is happening here is that this is a representation energetically of your inner world being expressed into the paradigm of the Earth. Okay, so if you are witnessing yourself as an energetic being that is projecting the idea of Earth through the idea of a soul contract, through the soul contract that is conjoined or constructed, formed, created, coherent with many other souls also, all the other souls that are upon the Earth, then what you find is that, in fact, Earth is comes about as a result of all of your soul contracts combined together. Yes? So everything that exists upon the Earth is in contract with the idea of an Earth. The Earth does not exist on her own without this collective soul contract that you enter into. And you may consider the idea that there must be a certain number of souls to create the Earth, or so on or so forth. This is not true, but it does need to be a collection of souls that are willing to participate in the idea of Earth, and so form the idea of Earth. And so, with this perspective in mind, we can consider that, in fact, when we are witnessing a change in the Earth, it is, in fact, a change that we are projecting from our very souls onto the idea of our Earth that we are manifesting here in this moment. And, of course, because the time-space continuum works in a way that is not linear. You may adjust your resonance, you may adjust your frequency in order to find yourself upon a new earth, as it were, billions of times a second. And so why not learn how to find yourself on an earth that is healthy and thriving and not representative of the idea of toxification, of poison, of things that are an attack on the self as such. When you are creating things that are toxifying unnecessarily the earth, and then you are allowing those things to toxify you and threaten your survival, you are essentially attacking yourself. And so you must have some review and some thoughtful questioning arising around the idea of why you would do this to yourself. And what we envisage, from our perspective, what we see is happening from an energetic perspective is that there has been an infiltration of ideas within the psyche on the level of the physical mind. Of course, the higher mind is operating in a much more intelligent level and is not succumbent to these limiting ideas that are threatening of survival. The physical mind has been infiltrated, the collective physical mind, that is, not just the individual, has been infiltrated with information, codes, and templates, energetic templates, that are informing the physical mind that it is not in relationship of unconditional love with the earth at this time. And this has been a process of, it's what you call the ego. The ego has taken control, as it were. However, we do not describe the ego in this way. We describe what you are calling ego is more of a limited self-actualization, since it is a paradigm which intends to stop you from really finding your authentic self and being in full presence in your capabilities as a human in unconditional love, with all that is and all that you are and all the other souls. And so what you will find is that when you are engaging in these paradigms that are embedded within the physical mind through messages, through cultures, through interrelational social dynamics that occur, is that there is a belief system that is cultivated about separateness. And as you understand the range of emotional frequencies, the idea of shame is the lowest frequency. This is the idea of the most separate. And so, as it were, the idea of shame was projected upon the human being, the society, and so this created the idea of separation from all that is. And as you experience separation from all that is, that you forget your connectedness to all the other beings, and you forget your connectedness to the earth, as it were, the soil, the trees, the plants, the animals, the insects, all that you understand. You forget your innate power to be at one with all of these things and for them to support you in a way that is supporting your health and well-being. And you begin to live in a sort of false paradigm where you believe that you must fight. You must fight for yourself. You must fight for your own survival, and everything else is a threat to that. And so you are okay with damaging and toxifying and poisoning, infiltrating the system with things that are harmful to everything, not just yourselves. And you deny your feelings, your true human feelings, your true soul feelings that are not, that this is not in alignment with your soul essence and your deep desires of unconditional love and a sense of connection to all that is and everything being in harmony with one another and in peace. You deny that this is so, and you choose not to realize it, you choose not to see it. And so you find yourself in an isolated bubble of self-satisfaction and you falsely seek to fulfill these desires, these desires to survive, with ideas that are very much associated with materialism, with what you call ego, that is really limited self-actualization, and the need to be physically attractive, to be accepted, and when we look underneath these behaviors that are occurring, they are really just like a misguided child looking for attention in the wrong place. If the parent is dysfunctional and the child feels ignored, and then they emit some poor behavior in order to get attention, because at least in this way I can get attention and connection with my parent, with my dysfunctional parent. If I cannot get unconditional love, at least I can get some sort of attention through my poor behavior and through creating some level of chaos. Yes, this is the same representation that is occurring among the humans who are young in spiritual development and are trashing the earth instead of cultivating a balanced relationship with it. And this is because of this sense of disconnection that has been created through the parental structure, which is the hierarchical structure that exists upon the earth that you so choose to adopt. And thus you find yourself what you call acting out. And so if you are able to recognize that this is in fact what is occurring within yourselves and within the collective and within the physical mind, the messaging that is a false paradigm of trying to experience connection through all the wrong means that are in fact creating a sense of self-destruction, a sense of internal chaos that does not feel good, that is now representative of many illnesses and mental struggles and emotional struggles and isolation and discord and chaos, then you will understand the solutions that should arise to you are centered in this idea of maturation, of self-responsibility, of being accountable for the part that you are playing within the disharmony of the earth, and not to blame the child for their behavior, for they are only a child. Of course, they are learning all the time, but to consider how we might bring the unconditional love into the spirit of the people at this time in order to find themselves in a place where they are feeling connected, able to receive the coherent love, the unconditional love that is present and available among the people and among all of the beings that exist upon the earth together. And so first we consider the idea of taking full responsibility, individual responsibility. We cannot create any sort of change from the dynamic of denial. We cannot. And so we must create the change from full acceptance, full responsibility of what has been created here on earth. And it will not do any justice to the experience of a new creation, a new dynamic, to blame the hierarchical structure, to blame the others who blindly follow. It is not conducive to a new and harmonious reality to bring in the energy of injustice, blame, resentment, all of these, shame, more shame, more shame, more shame. This does not shift the energy in frequency to unconditional love. You cannot shift shame into unconditional love through more shame. And so, of course, what is necessary to come in is the idea of radical acceptance of oneself, of everything that has been already, of all the choices that have been made, and radical responsibility amongst all the people. And of course, you have to adopt this yourself, and then you express it within yourself to the other beings around you, and they will adopt it themselves, and they will follow by example, as it were, model themselves upon your new state of being that is desirable to them. And of course, again, we refer to the idea of the child and their learning experience. Of course, they learn through modeling. If you are a spiritual child and you are immature in your spiritual nature and you are not recognizing your responsibility and impact upon the frequency of the earth and the things that are occurring at this time, then you are immature in your spiritual development and you are needing to model yourself upon the more mature beings who are able to offer you the representations of the more mature frequency that is centered in responsibility, that is centered in connection, that is centered in unconditional love for the self first, above all things, and then allowing this to radiate out. And so this, as we give you today, this is the mechanism by which you will proceed forward, leading by example, if you so wish, to change this paradigm of Earth that is toxified. And we do urge you at this time to consider this a serious matter. For what you are witnessing in the sickness of the people, it is a disturbed biological occurrence that you are witnessing within the people that is brought about by a disturbed frequency. And of course, we have explained that it is like an energetic ecosystem. And you imagine, per se, something like a pond with all of the life that is there and all of the bacteria and the microbes and the frogs and the frog spawn and the birds that visit and the creatures and the various aspects of this ecoculture. Your energetic system and your alignment with the earth is much like this. And when you have, say, something that is overgrown, perhaps we have too much algae or we have not enough of something else, not enough leafy plants, not enough frogs or birds visiting to eat the various things. All of these things work in perfect harmony together to maintain the culture of the environment, and your energetic system is no different. And so when you are experiencing the disharmony, that something is threatening your survival, that there is a sickness upon the people, they are unwell in many dimensions of themselves, then you must consider, where do we need to rebalance the system? Do we need to plant something new that will detoxify the system? Do we need to remove something that is overgrowing, that is swamping the system? How should we rebalance this energetic system? And of course, we are not talking about biological entities such as plants, etc. We are talking about emotions, thoughts, beliefs, ideas, all of these that create a frequency within your physical mind and within your collective unconscious that you are all engaging with on a continuous level. And so we are attempting here to rebalance the ecosystem that is not just a physical one, that is on a soul level, that is on an energetic level, that is on a mind level, that is on an emotional level. And with this, we bring you a mechanism by which you may consider that is to engage directly with the higher mind in order to solve your problems. Because as you engage with the outer world, in essence, this is similar to engaging with your conscious mind over your unconscious mind. If you imagine the unconscious mind is a large body of potential, and your conscious mind is only a small, tiny fraction of this that you are choosing to be awakened to at any given moment. And yet, engaging with your unconscious mind, there is such great potentiality that you are able to create great changes within the conscious mind when you're examining your unconscious beliefs, as it were. And so we encourage you to use this mechanism to, instead of directly engaging with the world that you see in front of you, go within, go into your heart center, go into your unconscious, go into your energetic sense of being, and pull through the new frequencies that are required to create the change. And you will see through synchronicity that the solutions will arise in front of your very eyes. We see that this is already happening, and there are many new developments that are aligned with sustainable, ecological, healthy way of being. Yet there is much work still to do. And the more that are engaging on this level, in this way, with the idea of using the higher mind, the unconscious higher mind that is of the higher intelligence that sees all that is able to make the synchronistic connections necessary to create the change that is necessary to align you with the new earth that is healthy and well and thriving, and you are within it, then If you are able to use this mechanism, then you will find yourself in a place where you are witnessing the change that you desire, and you are finding yourself in a place where the solutions to your problems are simply arising as if a miracle was created. And the more who engage in this paradigm, the more miracles you will see. But you must cultivate trust in this process, and you must practice it continuously, and you must maintain a belief that this is possible, that the change is possible, and you can create the change yourself. Thank you for tuning in to Transformation Embodied. If today's message spoke to you, share it with somebody who's ready to step into their own transformation. For more channeled guidance, resources, and ways to work with me, visit transformation-embodied.com. Until next time, keep listening to your higher self, keep embodying your light, and remember, your transformation is already unfolding.